This week, the S&P broke a 5-week losing streak. Nasdaq is up 4.4%. The markets rallied hard on ceasefire optimism. But here's the thing, Iran actually denied it. Talks are at a standstill. Oil is still above $110 at the time of recording, and the Strait of Hormuz is still closed, so nothing has actually changed. So is this a real recovery or a bounce inside a correction? So that's what I want to talk about and take you through this week. I'll go through the US and European indices, currencies, oil, gold, crypto as usual, and show you what the charts are telling us about whether this bounce has legs or not. Let's get into it. Starting with the analysis of the S&P, and well, yes, apologies, next week I was not able to record the video, so we missed the update on that red candle. But as you can see, this week we reclaimed the level that was like broken last week, right? 2 weeks ago, we did say we had a break of that level, and it was really an area to watch for to know whether we're going to bounce back, reintegrate the range, keep ranging, and then hopefully later this year have a break to the upside and resume the bull market, have another bull trend. Now, with the context with the war and everything, of course, as you can see, we have 5 weeks in a row of downside, and the last 2 weeks before this week, were like big red candles, so not looking good, with a very strong break last week. But this week's strong bounce reintegrated the range there. So the question, and that's what I mentioned in the introduction, is this basically, are we like saved? Are we reintegrating the range? Are we going to stay there, oscillate between these two, as I just mentioned? Or is it a fake out, like what we call a dead cat bounce, I believe, where there's a wave of optimism, basically, buyers trying to save the day? I actually don't know how much of that is linked to the ceasefire that US claims is about to happen. But, it's either of the two, in my opinion, right? Either we broke down, we have a pullback, that's the dead cat bounce, that's a bounce, right? Which is a fake out, and then we're going to head to the downside, right? This is the opposite of, that's a breakout, basically. Breakout to the downside, pullback, and drop. This is the opposite of what you see for bull legs as well, right? You have something like that here. That's kind of the opposite. Small pullback, upside. It may not be the best example, but you get the idea, right? So are we going to see such thing, right? A bounce and drop, or reintegrating the range and basically oscillating before maybe a break later this year? I don't know. The answer is I don't know. As you know, I don't pay attention to headlines too much. Of course, with Iran and stuff, like, we know there's some impact on the market, but I read the chart, and in my opinion, it's either or, right? So this does not mean that's it. We're going back to the upside. This level. I would really watch out for this, right? And what happens over the next few weeks. Trading wise, I am still in a moderate risk management, right? We are ranging, definitely. We are not in an uptrend in free air, printing new highs every other week. We are definitely ranging. The question is, are we going to reintegrate the range, and basically that's the amplitude. We're going to get this amplitude basically for something along this line, right? For the current consolidation in the market, or are we going to head deeper, right? And the next bottom may be somewhere there, as you can see, right? Or even there, right? Possible. And have a much longer consolidation, meaning that, we can kiss goodbye to the bull market for the next foreseeable future. It might take a few years to get back to the upside. I don't know. And there may be other scenarios, but right now I'm just watching this level specifically for the reason I just mentioned. So let's reconvene next week and find out what happened to that level. Moving on to Nasdaq, and it's the exact copy-paste story. We were holding 2 weeks ago, we were holding the level right there. We were right on the edge. And I did say that I don't know actually if we're going to break through or just bounce back. We did break through like quite heavily, quite cleanly. So the rationale was we are probably going to correct further down, right? And then big bounce up this week, reclaim the level. Again, is it a bounce before heading lower, or is it indeed going to be ranging between our bounce right there? Again, I don't know. Similar story, I don't know. Time will tell. But that's kind of the scenarios I have in mind right now. And similarly to the S&P, I'm gonna watch that level there and see what the markets are doing over the next few weeks. Again, this is a weekly time frame, so the candles that you see on the chart have weight behind them, right? They have meaning much more than in smaller time frame where there is much more noise and market manipulation. Moving on to the DAX now, and it's a similar story as well. I mean, 2 weeks ago we had a clean break of that tight consolidation, tight range that had been going on for like a year and a half. We were saying earlier this year we had beautiful break and we were maybe hoping for a clean bull leg. We had pullback, start of a bull leg, and then drop with the start of the war early March. We held the level 2 weeks ago. We broke heavily through, so the idea was like we may be heading to like, you know, like lower, and we would see basically we're in upward channel, as you can see. Am I in logarithmic? Yes, apologies, I was in logarithmic scale. And we may be heading lower basically on DAX to find maybe the bottom of that channel. You can see that last week, I'm going to do the analysis as well, we had a strong push up and we were rejected, right? That week there, the little line you see tells us that strong rejection from the sellers, but we did close to the upside, but we basically confirmed that we are below the level, right? This week, strong week, reclaim the level, and same thing here. Are we assisting to a dead cat bounce pullback heading lower, or are we going to basically go back to the level, oscillate, and break through? Again, I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to find out over the next few weeks. Moving on to CAC 40 now. And well, yeah, I'm just repeating the same stuff 4 times in a row. So similar story on CAC 40. We break through, we actually reintegrating the range. We had this tight range there. And as you can see, I didn't do the analysis last week, but we did say that we had confirmation 2 weeks ago. We tried to push back up above that key level, right? A large consolidation. We had the start of a bull leg pullback. We broke through. We tried to come up there. We didn't make it. We got rejected. And we closed basically back below that range area over there. And last week, look what happened. We went and found that line. I haven't traced this line, right? These are from last week, 2 weeks ago. And as you can see, we found bottom right there on this level that had been touched once, twice. So that's the kind of level we found here, the support. And we held. And now we bounce back up and reclaim the level. So now you got it. Are we going to have pullback, heading lower, or maybe staying in the range? I don't know. I think there is a confluence of support level right there. So we need to see. Let me just try to remove that. Yeah. So are we going to see that, or are we going to see basically the other scenario, which is maybe we have our resistance around there. So are we going to see basically the price going back there, oscillating for some time, and maybe breaking to the upside later this year? I don't know. Again, next few weeks will be key. Moving on to cryptocurrencies now, and would you look at that? Our scenario is just playing out at the moment, where we said, so the thick black line is the previous all-time high, sorry, from 2021. The one below is basically the resistance level identified, and the price, as you can see, is kind of like stuck around there, right? And what we did say 2 weeks ago, right, which was there, is we broke through, confirmed by a few weeks of downside, but we still, you know, it was not a free fall drop. And then we tried to push back up, and we just got rejected at that level there, right? You can see the wick in red, rejected, back down below the all-time high. And last week tried to push back up above the all-time high, didn't make it, and this week even less, right? So it looks like we're having a classic drop, bounce, pull back up, and maybe further downside now for Bitcoin. So the next week will tell us basically if that's true or not. It may be so that we actually end up consolidating for a bit longer, for some time. Let me remove that. We will see, right? I think there is definitely a support area there, so we need to see what's going to happen over there if we have a drop over the next few weeks and months. Moving on to Ethereum now, and well, I wouldn't say a bit of a similar story. We said a few weeks ago that we had a support, a lot of like conversions of levels there, right? We have this large, so Ethereum is in this large triangle, right? Since like 2022, it's beautifully forming, as you can see, right? Again, I'm on a logarithmic scale. We had a drop, right? Followed the move of Bitcoin and all the cryptocurrencies. We identified some kind of resistance area there, and as you can see, we dropped. We found the bottom there of the triangle, found the bottom there again, so we were watching that support. Pullback, didn't quite make it 2 weeks ago. You can see we got clearly rejected back down below that line right there. Last week, same thing. We didn't even cross, blocked right there. You see, I haven't touched that line this week, right? So as you can see how this line really is the level where the price is just like stuck under, right? Like here, 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 and this week as well, right? It's a small green candle, but you can see that price has been pushed down, rejecting from that level. So what does that mean? Well, this scenario in blue that you see is actually kind of still at play, right? We have a consolidation happening there. We may see consolidation down, but we also have a lot of support, so we may see consolidation, and whenever we break basically away from that level, we may see some more upside, large consolidation, multi-year, and maybe, you know, in a year to 2 years from now, 2028, we may see a break to the upside. I would love to see that. I would need to see that in a clean break like that, reduction in volatility towards the end of the pattern to take a speculative trade on Ethereum. Right now, yeah, we are very far from that, so we're just going to monitor it week after week. Moving on now to precious metals with gold. So 2 weeks ago, we had a horrible week for gold, massive drop, and that line, I haven't touched that line, by the way, again, right? We did say that since we had such a drop, right, after 3 weeks, big red candle, this was yeah, 10% drop, 10.6%. We said that we may find actually the next area of support would be around there. As you can see, it's the previous resistance of that swing high, right? We had a break there, a bit of consolidation, break, and then upside. So that definitely we had level, and we had that week there, that just massive drop, and then saved the day, came back. So we clearly had a support level there, and the question was, are we gonna break through? Are we gonna respect that level, have oscillation? And last week, which we didn't analyze again, we're doing it now. It's exactly that. We have a beautiful doji, very big, strong drop and a week, right? And then price basically claim and just close exactly where it opened with a little bit of upside. So that tells us like strong support from the buyers, and that level really held, right? Really, really held strongly. This week a bit better, you know, some upside for gold, and same thing. That level right there has held very, very nicely. You can see that right there, right? The week is just expected, the level hadn't broken through. So we could say that this is definitely a level to watch for gold. And as always, so now we are ranging, and as always, the next few weeks will tell us the story. But definitely, you know, would need for speculative trade, right? I'm not talking about longer term position or portfolio. For speculative trade, I would need basically gold to form. Sorry, that was very badly drawn, but I would need to see a beautiful pattern, like, you know, I like. So maybe that could be cup, and then maybe a handle, and the longer and the tighter the consolidation towards the end with reduction in volatility, the pattern. So if I see something like that with something really beautiful at the end and a break, I will definitely be looking at taking position on gold. But we're not there yet. We'll need to be patient for that if it happens. Moving on to silver now, and a bit of a similar story as well. I was assisting in a drop, drop, bounce, further downside, or resumption. Basically, we reclaimed that level on gold, on silver. Sorry, we reclaimed the level. So it is similar to the US market and crypto, where we're gonna have further drop, or did we reclaim the level and now we are gonna basically stay in the range and maybe have a break again later on? I don't know. I think the situation doesn't look as good for silver as it does for gold, and we have a few areas of overhead basically. So even if I'd get a beautiful pattern and a break of that level, it's not, there's some overhead there, right? So overhead resistance. So yeah, it's patience. I think that the for me the party is over on silver, right? Unless you get something really beautiful, but it's gonna take time to absorb that shock of volatility, to rebuild something healthy, pretty, and to have a quality opportunity. So that's where we are for silver, in my opinion. And again, next week's will tell us the story. Moving on now to currencies with EURUSD. I think 2-3 weeks ago we had a clean break there of that identified level, and we did say that are we going to have a drop further down, which means that USD will appreciate, will gain value against the euro. And we did circle this out, so that was right there, right? We didn't analyze EURUSD since. That was right there on that red arrow, and we said that's a level to watch for. We broke. Are we going to confirm that or not? And the following week we actually pulled back up and we reclaimed that level, right? So if you look, last week we stayed in the level, though we had definitely selling pressure. If you see the week there, it's like a selling pressure, right? Price did not manage to push back up substantially. And similar thing this week, right? We have selling pressure, but also buying pressure because we didn't break through that level. Again, I haven't touched that line compared to 2 or 3 weeks ago, and you can see how well it's held, right? That level there, a bit above, a bit below, has held really well. So now the question is, are we assisting to the formation of a head and shoulder pattern, right? Which is a reversal pattern. First shoulder, the head, and maybe second shoulder is forming now. Again, I don't know, but if this forms, right, that will take a few more months to have something of quality. If this forms and you have a break, this is usually a strong indication that that asset is heading for downside, right? It's like these patterns, these chart patterns are not magic, right? They're just a way to translate people's psychology, right? In the case of a head and shoulder, you have buyers pushing in, pushing through, didn't make it first time, selling pressure, but the buyers are resisting, they are holding on, they have another push even higher this time, you still have selling pressure and the price comes back down, and the buyers a third time, usually say that three the charm or something like that, third time buyers try again, and you have more selling pressure that time, don't make it quite as high as the second bounce, and then they give up, break, and downside, right? So this is literally exhaustion of buying pressure, absorption by the sellers, and then downside. We'll see if that forms, but that's what I see at the moment. Finishing up with a little bit of commodities. So this is DBC, the commodity index. And as you can see, since early Jan, massive break out of this large base with beautiful reduction in volatility, strong break, pullback, break, pullback, big massive leg up with everything going on with the oil and Iran war. A lot of volatility, right? You can see gap, you can see massive wick down, Here again, big candle, gap down, open up, big week. And this week, this actually is a positive week, right? We still made a leap in price, gap, strong, like big week down as well. So, but selling pressure, but the buyers still are bullish on commodities, right? So, very interesting to see that, right? Definitely, you can see. I think the war started, was it like first week of March, March 2nd, and you can see, right, the gap. I think it was over the weekend, last weekend of Feb or something. So the gap, the strong week, and the volatility, right? This is literally a translation of people's psychology in the market with the uncertainty with the war and people being fearful, greedy about commodities, thinking that oil, grain, and so on may appreciate. And that's it. That's what we observe. So it's very interesting to look at that. And if we now switch to oil, interesting week. So 2 weeks ago, I mean, a lot of volatility there as well, right? WTI, so this is crude oil, a ticker for crude oil, strong push up, weak in everywhere. Look at that. Look at, like, this is doesn't make any sense, right? But this kind of could be a breakout, a pullback, and what? Maybe a leg up now. Are we gonna maybe consolidate there? Um, it's hard to tell, right? It's hard to tell, but it's just it's very interesting to see the what the candles are telling us, right? And yeah, this is a bit messy. There's a lot of volatility, as you can see. I mean, look at the shape of these candles. Let me remove these arrows. Look at the shape of these candles compared to these ones, right? I mean, look at the size of the body. Look at the wick going everywhere in each direction, right? This, you can literally see that there is uncertainty there, and yeah, people are going a little bit crazy with that, right? So very interesting to look at. And that sums it up for this week. Thank you for watching. Head over to the website if you want my free guide on swing trading. Subscribe to this channel, Telegram, and stay tuned for more news. See you soon.